Jam Session is a podcast where two guys who grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth discuss sports, craft beer, life, and their experiences living in one of America's most vibrant cities. If you love sports, you're going to love this show. If you love craft beer or you're curious about it, you'll love this show. Great conversations with good friends is what Jam Session is all about.
Welcome. It's nice to have you here. I hope you enjoy it. I think you will.
You're listening to the Jam Session Podcast.
I was told that I could listen to the radio at a reasonable volume.
With Cowboys insider...
What's your name?
Jean-Jacques Taylor.
That's my name.
Radio personality and craft beer expert, Matt McLaren.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot. Comes from upbringing.
And now, the Jam Session Podcast. It is indeed Jam Session. Subscribe, rate, and review, and hang out with us for a while. Right here on the Jam Session Podcast. Sponsored by Greening Law, a personal injury law firm in Dallas, Texas. Greening Law fights the legal battle so you have time for healing and renewal. The moment we've all been waiting for has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, the radio, TV, and now podcast star, the sexy Jean-Jacques Taylor.
What up, dog?
I would be the non-sexy one. It's Matt McLaren, and this, my friends, is Jam Session, the podcast. It's version 132, asking simply that you prepare to be dazzled.
If not entertained.
Have you been hurt in a car accident? Did it finally happen for you? I don't know. This sounds like I'm saying it as a good thing. Did it finally happen for you? But if it did happen for you, and it always is an unfortunate situation, as I know. I mean, I've talked about my car accident. It's been about 5 weeks ago now. Sometimes you get out of the car and you just can't believe what you're looking at. You can't believe it. You're in shock. You don't know what to do. Well, I can tell you this. You need to give the lawyers at Greening Law a call because this is what they do. They handle that legal battle. They take on the insurance companies to make sure that you get taken care of so that really you can focus on healing, not just physically, but mentally and getting back to where you once were.
No, pick up the phone, give them a call, 972-934-8900. Because here's the deal. You don't need to be talking to your other team's representatives. You know, let the green team, they're fierce legal competitors. They handle things for you. Consultations are free. Doesn't cost you anything to pick up the phone. They don't have any hourly attorney fees either. They only get paid if you get paid. It's a win-win. Either they can help you or they can't. They let you know up front. They're the best. Go with them.
They are. Check them out. It is Greening Law. Robert Greening and his green team. That's what they call the team, the green team. Give them a call. Consultation's free. They only get paid if you get compensated. 972-934-8900. 972-934-8900. Office, Dallas, Texas. Cowboys preseason game number 3 coming up this weekend. It's Saturday night against whatever the Texans are going to roll out there. And that whole thing is just, it's bizarre because they had put out their depth chart, and it's really odd just to see Deshaun Watson listed as the 4th-string quarterback. It just is weird.
Dude, he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, and he's 4th on the depth chart, and there's no indication that he's playing any time this season.
They have zero plans for him to play. It's one of the weirdest things, and I get it, because he doesn't want to get fined, and if this had been in the prior CBA, he wouldn't even be in camp, and it wouldn't be a big deal. But he's there now, so he doesn't have to pay the fines, and he's just standing around. It's really weird. But when you look at this from a Cowboys perspective in preseason game number 3, who is it that you were looking forward to focusing on Saturday night?
Well, you know, again, I like to tell y'all, the preseason ain't about wins or losses, especially now. I mean, in the past, you could say, well, you need to win one because if you go winless in the preseason, history says you have a bad year. Just like if you go undefeated in preseason, history says you typically have a good year. But most teams finish somewhere in the middle of the road. Mm-hmm. But the way the Cowboys have treated this preseason, I mean, heck, they didn't even respect the game enough to bring a kicker to the first 2 games, bro. That's on the real. That's real.
Yeah.
You can't get caught up in wins and losses. You can only get caught up in how particular guys are playing. And so for me, I want to see a variety of guys, but I narrowed them down to just a few. And I'm interested in seeing actually some of the draft picks, man, play a little more. Like I want to see, what's your boy's name, the rapper? Kelvin Joseph,
yeah,
cornerback out of Kentucky. Like I didn't, he got criticized a little bit last week. I didn't think he had an awful week. Now the holding penalty on 3rd and 16, that's bad.
Yeah, that was
That's
blatant.
really bad.
I mean, that was obvious hold.
But when Christian Kirk runs and makes a one-handed catch along the sideline on a perfect pass, I don't sit there and go, "You suck." I go, "That, my friend, is the NFL." And so I want to see him because a lot of us thought he would come in and take the starting job from Anthony Brown. They were competing over there opposite Trayvon Diggs, and that hasn't happened. Doesn't mean it won't happen at some point during the season, but it hasn't happened yet. And so I want to see him play and see a little bit more of the athleticism we've seen. I just want to see him play and see what he can do.
Yeah, I hear that, and I think it's been interesting, too, because I haven't heard, oddly enough, Nashawn Wright is the one that I've heard a little bit more about from camp than Kelvin Joseph, which, remember, he was the pick that they had that was the long, lengthy guy that people were saying, at least type-wise, is comparable to Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
And I've heard a little bit more about him making plays in camp than I have from Kelvin Joseph.
Nah, dog, he's been making plays all camp. He's another guy that I want to see. And this just goes to show, man, because the Cowboys got ripped from top to bottom for taking this dude in the 3rd round. Yep. Some people said he was going to be an undrafted free agent. Why would you take him? And if you listen to the people who've been out at camp, they tell you he's been one of the best rookies out there. And this was, to me, I really can't remember what I said on draft day. So forgive me. Some of you people who do that sort of thing, y'all can look it up and tell me. But it was clear that it was a scheme pick and that they had a certain role in mind for him and a certain fit for him, and that's why they grabbed him when he did. But let's keep it real, man. From the first rookie minicamp, he's been a guy that people have talked about the whole time. And in practice, you can see his range and you can see his length paying off. And maybe, just maybe, they hit on one right here.
Yeah, maybe so. But it is interesting because you're exactly right, man. I remember that pick, and I remember us talking about it. And I said, look, maybe he pans out. Maybe it's going to work. But at the same time, even now, even if he's good, it's still a guy you could have gotten in the 5th round easily. Now, I
never agree with that.
But that's just what it is.
We always say you could have got him in the 5th round. And then just like the Cowboys grabbed him early, people always grab a guy a round early. And sometimes, bro, if you just want a dude, go get a dude and don't take a chance on somebody else grabbing him.
Now, he's going to have to turn out because of the draft capital they used to get him.
Yes, sir.
So it would have been different, like if he was a 6th or a 7th round guy, like, man, all that guy's got to do is a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and what a nice value selection in the 6th or 7th. But when you take a guy where they took Wright, you just don't have any other option. Like, you've got to get on the field. You've got to be usable. We have to be able to depend on you to some extent as a rookie walking in. And at least so far, it looks like he is putting up to where he'll be able to do that. As a matter of fact, Kelvin Joseph is the one now, like you kind of pointed out, that I wonder about, just because of, and not because of the preseason games, it's just because of what you hear from camp and the things that you read, where it really feels like right now Wright would be ahead of him on the cornerback depth chart just from what they've seen in camp, what they've shown.
No, I think that's fair. That's what are we talking about? That's why we want to see him play against Houston, just to see how they're moving, how they're working up, see how the Cowboys have them placed. And here's a key for those of you who don't know. I mean, a lot of you guys do know, but also see what they're doing on special teams, because that gives you a clue as to what the team thinks about them. Are they on the first team kickoff coverage, first team punt coverage? Where are they on the special teams? What are their job on the special teams? And that'll tell you a lot about what the Cowboys think about them and where they fit right now into the roster.
So you got to love autocorrect. And because in our notes, you put a couple of guys that you wanted to see against Houston. I love this. Osa Odighi, Maston Wright, and the rapper.
Okay, now check this out. Check this out, dog. Okay, we'll take y'all behind the curtain since Matt has brought it up.
I like Maston. That's a cool name.
Okay, check this out, man. I was putting this list together. I got a new routine at the gym. I've had it for a minute now, but I don't know if I've told you guys. And, So what I do now is I get to the gym about 10 minutes early, and I go sit in a sauna for 10 minutes before I go work out. Because it kind of loosens me up a little bit more than trying to loosen myself up because I'm sweating.
Yeah.
And so I was doing this list while I was in the sauna this morning. And I was like, I don't feel like figuring out how to spell Odighizuwa's. Okay, how do you say it again, Matt?
Odighizuwa.
Odighizuwa's name. And so I just put Odighi because I knew Matt would know what it was. Nashawn got corrected to Maston.
Which is weird. I mean, how do you get Maston out of Nashawn?
Okay, I'm about to tell you.
Okay, all right.
Because London Maston is one of my dude's best friends. He's also the middle linebacker for DeSoto this year. And so I've texted him and his dad quite a bit. And so that's why Maston came up in the autocorrect when I put Nashawn. That's how you got Maston. And then because my brain was foggy from the sun, I couldn't remember Kelvin Joseph's name at 5 o'clock this morning. So I just put the rapper because I knew Matt would know who I was talking about.
Indeed. Indeed I do. Bossman Fat.
So yeah, man. But that's how, okay, check this out. That's how when people autocorrect on Twitter and stuff and it comes up with the N-word and it's somebody white, that's how you know they use it all the time.
Yeah.
Because that's how it does. That's why you can't say it never happens. Because you use it all the time, and that's why it auto-corrected to that.
Yeah, I mean, because that is wild, man. I was like, I mean, why in the world did Maston come from? But then I thought, Maston, that's kind of a cool name.
Well, actually, it's Leshay Maston, who was a really good player at Baylor, played on Carter's teams in the late 80s, early 90s, and played, I think, 4 years in the NFL. He is now the police chief of the Crowley Independent School District. So there's a little fun fact for you guys.
Oh, there you go. All right. And, as we continue this conversation, you look at some of these other guys that kind of have highlighted a little bit here. It's interesting because Bradley Anae is on the list. And, he is a guy when we used to time out, and it timed out a lot better with the radio show and just before life got busy. But we used to have John Owning on with us.
Right.
And he would break down the film all the time. He loves Bradley Anae. Like, still to this day, loves Bradley Anae and always seems perplexed that he is not getting more of an opportunity for whatever reason. And I don't know why either.
I think he'll get more of an opportunity with this regime. And here's the deal, man. To me, this is just your boy now. When you have a guy who has pass rush traits, you figure out a way to get him on the field because one of the hardest things to do in the National Football League is what? Find pass rushers. If you got a guy who can rush the passer, you figure out a way to get him on the field, nickel packages, dime packages, rotate him in or whatever. But you give him a chance. I don't care if he can stop the run or not. The game is about throwing the ball. It's hard to find pass rushers, man. If you got one who looks like he got a little bit of skill, then you owe it to the team, you owe it to the player to see exactly what he can do and exactly how he can help. Because I got to tell you, man, there are worse things than saying, oh, I got me a nickel pass rusher who can generate me 6.5 sacks a year and some more pressures, and I got him in the 5th round.
I don't know. I don't know, man. There's a couple of guys on this team that have shown flashes at time that sometimes I wonder why we don't get an opportunity to see a little bit more of them.
Now, I will be fair. Okay?
But maybe they're just Daniel Ross.
Yeah, or they're just... Now, look, I just said, hey, we'd like to see Bradley and Anae, okay? Are you taking out Tank Lawrence or Randy Gregory for him?
No, right, sure.
So sometimes your opportunities are limited. But in the preseason, you just got to let it roll, baby, and see what the dude can do. Now, we know spin moves. It worked last week. They don't work every week. But he's a guy who showed up in the NFL as a guy who could rush the passer. Dude, they're in limited supply in the National Football League. Let's just see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, and that's my thing is in the preseason, just give him a little bit more of an opportunity. It's kind of like Dorrance Armstrong, who you noticed last week. He was a guy that even a couple of years ago in camp, he kind of struck me as a guy that I think he's got a little something. But I say a little something, I don't know that you're rotating him in as much as, and I brought up that name Daniel Ross because he was a guy a couple of years ago that played like 5 to 10 snaps a game. But those 5 to 10 snaps a game, you noticed him, and he made plays. Now, if you'd put him out there for 25 snaps a game, you probably, well, this guy's not any good. But sometimes I wonder if they've got a couple of dudes like that you can rotate in for maybe it's just a couple series a game where you give Tank or Randy Gregory a breather and there's not a colossal drop-off, but that's their role and that's what they're good at is 10 snaps a game.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with that, man. But, we've had, if you think about it, we've had 3 different defensive coordinators in 3 years now.
Yeah, that's true.
You had Rod Marinelli, who wanted to rotate everybody all the time. You had Mike Nolan, and now you got Dan Quinn. So it's going to take us a minute to see how Quinn moves his personnel in and out. And I'm looking forward to it, man, because I think they got a little something on defense. I'm not saying they're going to be great. I'm just saying they got a little something over there. I'm intrigued. And I damn sure wasn't intrigued by nothing they did on defense last year. Matter of fact, last year, Matt, was all about, why are they asking guys to do stuff that they've never had to do before? Why are they doing that? What's up with that? Why do they think that will work?
Yeah, that was really weird. I mean, that was so bizarre to me that they came in here and you're like, okay, these dudes have had some success doing something. And now you're like, well, I know you're successful doing this, but do something you've never done before. And then you wonder why you got fired and your defense was pure trash.
Oh, see, I don't think he wondered why he got fired. I think he knew.
I mean, he's like, well, that didn't work at all.
I mean, it was just dumb and stupid, just terrible, man. And I normally don't say that. But that to me was just, y'all doing.
And then the other guy that we have to keep an eye out for, and it's, I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter because we've mentioned this before. If what happens last year happens this year, you're going to see the same thing offensively. If Dak Prescott cannot play the vast majority of these games, you're going to lose the vast majority of the ones he's not in. But you hope that you can find a backup, that you've got a dude on this roster that if Dak has this little thing flare up at some point this season and has to miss a week, that you can survive. I don't know if Garrett Gilbert is that answer. They sure seem to think so, or at least they there's nobody else. There's no other option.
For now, we'll see if we'll see who gets cut on the final cut. But I'm just gonna throw this out there because there seems to be some consternation about Garrett Gilbert. But the only time we've seen him, he looked all right against Pittsburgh. What about that Pittsburgh performance left you lacking in terms of what he can do as a backup?
To me, his decision making is still not as, and look, there's a reason why the guy is a backup. He doesn't seem to process things as quickly as you would want somebody at that position to do that.
All right, that's fair enough. But I'm not sure many backups will.
Right, and that's the point, right? Because that's why you're a backup. He holds the ball too long, and there are times where it seems like he's unsure of some of the throws that he's making.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I think a lot of that is the product of he just hadn't played that much at this level, which is, again, part of the reason why he's a backup. But my only point to all of these points, because I think all your points are fair and legitimate, is if you're not going to get, I would say somebody like Colt McCoy, who I think is a good backup, and maybe there's 3 or 4 other guys. Maybe Nick Foles is a good backup.
Right.
But hell, dog, we thought Andy Dalton was like, hey, that's an elite backup quarterback. And we saw that dude play, and what did we all say? Man, he's just a dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, I get it, and I'm not really tripping over it because I'm now really back to my original point over the years, which has been basically if your starting quarterback is out more than a month, your season is hosed.
Yeah, which is true. And so I'd be kind of surprised at this point if Garrett Gilbert is not the backup going into the season. And he had, what was it? Remember last year they picked him up and like immediately he started a game or he came into a game he started a game because it was after DiNucci was horrible.
Right, he started against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's right. And he was actually fairly decent. I mean, he was decent.
No, he was solid in that game. He gave him a chance to win. Because, again, you ain't expecting the backup quarterback to be good. You ask the backup quarterback to do one thing, or maybe 2 things, and they're kind of similar. Give us a chance to win. Don't lose the game.
Yeah.
Meaning, don't throw 5 interceptions. Don't be DiNucci where you're just so erratic and so bad that we can't do anything on offense because you can't execute anything. So give us a chance to win by just doing normal execution and making the throws that are there. And then don't lose the game by, you can't figure out who's blitzing. And so you get sacked from the blind side and commit a turnover and all that stuff. And if you do that, man, then, you let other guys do the heavy lifting and see what happens at the end of the game.
Yeah, and again, I was just looking at it because that was the one game that he was in last year that he played. He was 21 of 38 for 243 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So, I think you can live with that. The wild thing is, remember, I think he was a 6th-round pick back in 2014 out of SMU after he had transferred there from Texas.
Now, don't forget, he was one of the top high school quarterbacks in the country.
He was. He was supposed to be.
The guy.
Yeah, he was supposed to be, like, behind Colt McCoy, he was supposed to be the next guy. And he got thrown in when Colt got hurt. He got thrown into that national championship game against Alabama and actually held his own for a bit. And then, obviously, you're talking about playing that Alabama defense in 2009. It just became overwhelming for him. And for whatever reason, he just never figured it out at Texas. But he was actually decent at SMU when he transferred.
Yeah. So, he's got talent. That's why he's bounced around. His problem, like a lot of backups, is repetition. He doesn't see it fast. And, especially that's why it comes up in the red zone, because that's even faster than when you're moving between the 20s. But all this is to say, I just want to see him play, see who he's working with, see if he can, get a little better and execute a little better on 3rd down and in the red zone if he gets a chance against the Texans.
It's true, man. And if you're looking to go fast, then maybe you should check out BlueStarMotorGroup.com because they've got all kinds of things that will get you to where you want to go in a hurry. We've told you about these guys for a long time. They're wonderful partners of ours. It is the place if you are looking to buy or sell. You need to start at Blue Star Motor Group. There's really no reason not to, because if you don't, you're doing a disservice to yourself and you're going to end up paying more in the long run anyway. You just go to their website, BlueStarMotorGroup.com, and you see they've got a 2018 Mercedes-Benz on there, a 2018 Land Rover Range Rover, a 2020 Chevrolet Silverado that has just one owner, has under 25,000 miles, and they've got it for less than 38,000. It's across they've got everything, all kinds of different makes and models.
No, but the best thing about them is, in talking to Deb and Mike, man, it's all about a win-win. They want to win. They want you to win. It ain't like that at every car dealer, and y'all know that. And so that's why I said give Deb a call, because Deb makes the deals. There is no other person. There's no middle person. There is no finance person. She makes the deals, whether you're buying a car, selling a car. Pick up the phone, give her a call. I promise you, she'll hit you back within 10 minutes.
That's what she does. It is absolutely incredible. And they will work with you to find what you are looking for to make this happen. They go out of their way to help get a deal done, whether it's buying or selling. If you're looking to sell your car and you'd like some cash on the spot, they can do that for you. And of course, all their cars, they specialize in that superior quality, Carfax certified pre-owned vehicles. I just told you, it's literally all makes and models. So call Deb, shoot her a text, let her know, hey, I'm interested. You got something? 817-881-4066. 817-881-4066. They're big fans of what we do on Jam Session. Love these guys. It's local. It's family. They're going to take care of you, man. So if you're looking to buy or sell, if you're in the market for a vehicle at all, make it happen. Call Deb. Blue Star Motor Group, BlueStarMotorGroup.com. And, of course, once you get your vehicle, you're going to have to do what Jacques has done 900 times with all 10 of his, and that's make the trek to Freeway Tire Shop. Because Freeway Tire Shop takes that. And, again, I tell you guys this all the time because you've had, legit crazy work done on some of your cars. But it's also like if you need a state inspection, which everybody does every year, or an oil change, which you need, 3-4 times a year, they're going to take care of you the same way. That same elite level of customer service, regardless of what you're going into the shop for.
No, I've had an inspection done on the car there. I had the oil change done on the car. I've had some major heavy damage work done over at Freeway Tire with JR. And JR is great, man. And I've told y'all 1,000 times, so this will be 1,001. I love JR because I can trust JR to do what he's supposed to do what he said he's going to do, and then guarantee his work. Every mechanic is not like that. Every car shop is not like that. That's why I go to Freeway Tire. That's why I take all my cars there. That's why I tell my friends to go there, because you don't have to worry about whether the mechanic is taking advantage of you.
He does it, man. He is honest. He is real. And, it's a different level of customer service that you need to experience. So get over there. It's competitive pricing. They'll take care of you. They take care of the Jam Session audience. It's freewaytireshop.com, just north of downtown Dallas. You can schedule an appointment, request a quote online at that website, freewaytireshop.com. And don't forget, tires to you. Next time you have a flat, next time you're like, man, I think I need new tires, I don't feel like taking it in, hit them up. They've got a mobile tire service. They will come to you and swap out those tires. And all that information is available for you at freewaytireshop.com. How about a little trip around the block as Jacques is clipping his toenails? Is that what you were doing?
No, I can't believe you said that.
I was hoping it was because that's what it sounded like.
Nah, you know what? Every time I try to get away with something, Matt busts me. I'm trying to put my Zip Fizz in my water.
Oh, that's what that is.
And again, I held the mic too close, and
No, I remember you did that once on the air, and like Alan thought you were doing that. I was like, is he in there clipping his toenails?
No toenail clipping. This is my Zip Fizz. This is when I'm trying to sneak Altoids out. This is when I take my medicine in the morning. So, this is when I'm typing a text to somebody. So now you guys have all my sounds.
Well, now we know. So now we know exactly what it is. That's good because we were all curious. All right, as we get into the block, I wanted to remind everybody that we are looking for new sponsors. We've got an opportunity coming up. And, you talked about this yesterday. We have really expanded. We are adding Ed Werder. I think everybody knows Ed Werder, that name. He's been covering the NFL. He's one of the best to do it at a very high level, works for ESPN. He is going to be joining us as a weekly guest on the podcast once Cowboys season gets underway. So we're really going to be expanding some of the things that we do. And if you'd like to be a part of that and help us grow and grow with us, we are looking, again, if you have a local business or you know somebody that does, let's see if we can help each other out. So shoot me an email and I can get you some information on that. It's very easy. It's matt@jamsessionpodcast.com. That's matt@jamsessionpodcast.com because we're really excited about it. I mean, you put out that tweet yesterday, man, and it's true because with Jacques, who's been doing it for years and years, we got Todd Archer every week. We've got Clarence Hill Jr. every week. And now, starting at Cowboys season, we're going to have Ed Werder every week. And I just don't know that there's anybody doing, especially at the podcast level, that is having that type of coverage of what the Cowboys and the NFL is all about.
Well, let me rephrase that for you. There's nobody doing it like that. They're just not. Nobody's got the wealth of experience, the wealth of sources that are coming on the podcast every week to tell you everything that they know about the Cowboys. Publicly and privately. It's going to be the best Cowboys information. I don't have any doubt about that. And we take on all comers if you would like to challenge that trio and the quartet of us in terms of Cowboys knowledge.
Make it happen, man. Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I keep, because obviously I think I was talking about this on the last podcast. I've been in Birmingham all week, and somehow it's funny because I still have people message like, Matt, are you moving? And I know people listen to podcasts at different times, and sometimes you'll listen to this and it's been a month. But right. Yes, in early September of 2021, I'll be moving to Birmingham, Alabama. But Jacques and I we're continuing the podcast. It won't affect the podcast at all. And it's funny because being out here and, spending time trying to find a place to live and all that. And I was talking to the guys at the radio station that I'm working for out here, and they said, well, when do you think you can get here? I said, you realize that this is like the worst time for what we do to try and move? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, think about it. So this station out here, we talk, I would guess it's probably 75% college football, right, and another 20% NFL, and then 5% right, just whatever.
Right.
That opening weekend of college football is the big weekend. I mean, it's games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Right. So I was like, it's very difficult to plan a move for Labor Day weekend because I got to watch those games. I mean, especially the Alabama game, Alabama-Miami, that's a huge game. That's two top 15 teams.
True that.
So then I said, then my problem is this. That next Thursday, the Cowboys open the season. So I need to be where I can watch the Cowboys game and do the podcast immediately afterwards so that we can have that ready to go Friday. And then we're rolling into another college football weekend with the NFL weekend opening up.
Yeah.
I said, so most likely what's going to happen is, and this is always weird about the college football season, they really do a good job of the week before the NFL starts grabbing the national attention. And there are 4 games between top 25 teams that opening week.
Right.
There's 5. The next weekend, that second week on September 11th, there's only 2 games between top 25 teams. One of them is Oregon, Ohio State for you, which is going to be a really fascinating one because that Oregon's number 11 in the country. And Ohio State's 4, obviously. So I told him, I was like, I may just have to miss a Saturday and have the movers come and get me on like a Friday and pack me up and then roll out that Friday afternoon, try to get halfway and then get up Saturday morning and drive the rest. Because when you're moving like this, like movers don't just come and get you and show up 9 hours later at your new home in another state.
Right.
Depending on what they've got on their truck, it can take a couple of days because
that's for real.
Yeah. Like they come and get you, they load you into the truck and you're either in front of or behind somebody else that they've already loaded or that they still have to go and pick up. And then depending on what their route is and where you are on the truck is how long it takes for them to unload at your new location states away.
No, that's the way it goes, bro. So, yeah, now you just hope that they end up with your stuff at the right house on the right day and the right time and the right place.
Man, no doubt. And that's part of it because I was like, we're just going to have to try and we'll sign our lease. And if we have to get the air mattress and just live on that for a couple of days, then that's what we'll do. But we'll figure it out. Because, you can load the car with necessities and things that you have to survive for a few days anyway while you're waiting on the movers to actually show up and bring all your big stuff and all the big boxes and all that.
Now, since you mentioned it and you're real about how your schedule's about to just go crazy in the fall, I thought I'd share with you guys what I'm going to be doing in the fall now.
All right. What is it?
Well, I told you last week I was working on this book project about fathers and sons in football at DeSoto High School. Well, now I've been hired to be part of the radio broadcast team at DeSoto High School.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because so this is the first year they've had it. Southlake has had it for more than a decade. But Metro Sports Communications is doing a DeSoto football high school broadcast every week on 6:60 a.m.
Yeah, and
it'll be college level broadcast. So I'm the sideline reporter for that. Then, as part of my job as president of the JJT Media Group, I'm basically covering Jackson State and Deion Sanders all year. So I go there every Tuesday, and then I'll be at pretty much all their games on Saturday. And then I'm writing columns for the Dallas Morning News on Tuesdays about the Cowboys game. So I got to be back from Jackson, at least in front of a TV somewhere, because they still got COVID restrictions in the press box, to watch the game in peace and quiet and get my setup the way I do it. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, bro, it's going to be a beast.
It is, man. It is. And that's what, we've talked about this many times, but with the way of doing the Cowboys, it's those games sometimes are late nights for us because we get that podcast out immediately after the game is over, and that's why that Thursday night, I was like, I've got to be somewhere where I know I've got quality internet connection to where as soon as the Cowboys game is over Thursday night, I can knock out the podcast. I think that this is how that weekend's going to go for me. I think we'll probably be in Irving still, watch the game Thursday night. We'll have everything packed up but the TV and the internet stuff.
Right.
And then that next morning, we'll knock out the podcast. See, I can't do that. I was going to say, I'll have to do it that way. Where then that next day I wake up, I do my radio show in Alabama, but I'm doing it from my house in Irving. And then as soon as that's over, hopefully the movers can come and get us. And I'm driving and taking the internet boxes back and stuff like that. And hitting the road and trying to get to Monroe and stay the night there and then wake up Saturday morning and drive the rest probably.
Dude.
It's wild, man. I mean, it's just a weird time to move because it's really difficult to take any time off once football season starts, like even a day, because that's what people are listening. The podcast, I know all you guys, and we're going to pump out all that coverage. And then my radio show, we're not supposed to take days off in the fall.
Right.
That's just how it is because it's football season. Yet I'm trying to plan this massive move 3 states away. In football season, I may have to, and they may just have to be like, hey, I'm sorry, man, but I don't have any other option. I'm going to have to take a day off at some point to be able to get out there okay. So we'll see. I'm trying to swing it where I don't have to do that.
Hey, man, all you can do is all you can do.
I know, but moving like this is really just, it's wild. Because it happens quick, and then you got to find a place to live. And once you get that done, and I will say that one thing we are going to do that I've never done before, but I didn't realize how affordable it is. We are going to hire somebody to come pack for us.
Dude, thank you. I'm so glad you're growing up.
Oh, it's trust me.
You're a grown ass man now.
Once I realized that they have packing services and that they'll come to your house and professionally do that, I was like, you know what? This is colossally worth, and it's only like a couple $100. And I was like, for the amount of stress that this causes, and trust me, we're just doing this, and it'll be great. And we can say, just come pack this.
Yep.
Thanks. And then we'll, you set aside a couple of things that you might need for a couple of days and put everything else in a box. All right. As we continue here I was trying to get into the block a little bit, and I kind of got sidetracked by the moving conversation and all that, but I don't know if you saw this, and somebody had tweeted about it yesterday. And I think everybody is familiar by this point with Serious Pizza. It's a pizza place in Deep Ellum, which for those of you that don't know, if somehow you've never heard of Deep Ellum, it's in the downtown Dallas kind of area on the east side of downtown. And Serious Pizza is famous for having just monster pizza slices. I mean, they're huge. They have relaunched what they call their 30-40 challenge. You have 1 hour to devour a 30-inch pizza and drink a 40-ounce cold beer.
Get out of here, bro.
Dude, I'm serious. Pizza.
Never happening.
I don't know. See, I didn't think so either. I mean, that is massive, dude. That is absolutely massive. It's really what it is, a 30-inch pizza, which when you look at this thing, I don't even know how to describe the size. It looks like, okay, you know what it looks like? It looks like when you have a newborn child and you put it down on a blanket before you fold it into the blanket. It looks like that blanket. The pizza is literally like what you would wrap a newborn baby in.
My God, yeah.
I mean, that's how big it is. And then on top of that, you're supposed to pound a 40-ounce beer, which for those of you wondering is about 3.5 beers of normal size.
It's just not happening, brother.
How are you supposed to do that?
I think it can only be trained professional eaters. Or it's got to be like one of those, like an NFL player who's, 6'6", 305 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just got a bigger stomach than everybody else.
I guess, man, because it's impossible. There's no way. I couldn't do it. I don't even want to attempt doing something like that, which I used to when I was younger. I would see things like this and it'd be funny. Ha, you do it with your friends and laugh. I do that stuff now. I feel like crap for a week and I feel like I'm going to puke. My body doesn't process it right. I'm out. I'm not doing it anymore.
I got to tell you, man, that's the worst thing about eating right and kind of changing your diet and being in some kind of shape is even when you want to go to a throwback day.
Yeah. You can't do it.
Your body rejects it because it's been so long since you did it that it's not even any fun to do because you feel so bad either right after or, as Matt said, the next morning. It's really kind of pathetic when you think about it.
It is, man. And it's one of those things. I've noticed this with a couple of things, and I've talked about this before. There's a lot of times where if I eat a certain kind of food or I do something now in my life and I don't like the way it makes me feel, I just don't ever do it again. And we've joked about this before. Like I've talked about, like Whataburger is a great example of this because Whataburger puts out some sandwiches and stuff that I've had in the past. I know they're really, really good. And I've kind of said, like, I will buy one for somebody just so I can watch you eat it and see how much you enjoy it. Because I'm not going to put that in my body. Like, it'll make me feel like crap.
Dude.
But I know it's really good. And so I get that, but I've had it. I'm good. I don't need to experience that again.
You know what that is for me, bro? It's really KFC. Like, I just can't eat it anymore.
Yeah.
It just makes me sick. It smells delicious. And when they bring it home, sometimes I'm like, wow, that looks fantastic. I just know that I'll be sick. So it's why bother?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. And one thing that I've tried to get a lot better at as well is to be okay with, you know what, I'm full. Like, I know that I went out to eat and they've given me all this food, but I don't have to eat it all right now. It's okay to take some. Now, sometimes I'm hungry and I'm good, but there are times where I'm like, I'm not going to overeat because then I'm going to feel bloated and I'm going to feel like crap and I'm probably going to sleep really poorly because of that. At some point you have to know, like, I'm full. It's okay not to finish this meal right now.
Dude, That's one of the biggest life changers I've made. And I'm laughing. Y'all can't see me, but I'm laughing. Because this is what happened. I just told you I went to lunch with Clarence and Calvin Watkins the other day. And the three of us are the best of friends. And we really, because of COVID and stuff, we really hadn't been together in a situation like that in probably more than a year, which is unusual for us because we've always been at the Cowboys all these years. And, let's go grab lunch today. And so it was really meaningful and special to go out and hang out with them for a couple of hours and, like I said, solve all the world's problems. So we had a couple of appetizers, man. We split them. And then we ordered sandwiches. And, dude, I brought half the sandwich home for that very reason. I was like, I had the appetizers. I had some sweet potato fries. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm good. And you say, when you're full, dude, pretty much now I stop about with a quarter of a tank left because I don't even like being close to being full because I start feeling sluggish and lethargic. Now, the only problem with that in my household is if you bring it home, it ain't going to be there when you go back for it. The human vacuum destroys all leftovers. He don't even ask no more. If it's left over and you don't have a note on it that says do not eat under punishment of death, just assume that it's gone.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the way to do it. And I've just gotten, and once you get more and more like that, like you can't, like you said, like even if you give yourself like the cheat day or whatever, you end up where, okay, I'm going to eat this, but you may, and I know that I'm the weird person that can eat the one Oreo and I can take the one bite of the fried thing at the state fair and I'm totally cool and I don't need another one. My lady friend has seen me do this. I'll buy like the little small cartons of ice cream and keep it in the freezer. I'll open it up, take one scoop out of it, eat that and put it back. Like not even a scoop, like one little thing off of like a small spoon, like one bite and put it back and I'm good just because I wanted to get like a little sweet kick, but I didn't want to eat a bunch of it.
Yeah, it's I'm not that, but I'm not really that far behind you anymore.
It is weird.
Fact, dude, I've got some Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream in my refrigerator. In my refrigerator out in the garage. And dude, I promise you it's been there for 4 months because I can't find a good day to try it. I just can't, I haven't found a day to justify it. And so it just sits out there, just waiting for one day to be eaten before it gets freezer burned.
That's how it is, man. The other thing that I thought was interesting here in this trip around the block, did you see Amazon apparently is planning to open large retail locations that will be essentially like department stores. They are supposed to open in California and Ohio at first. They will take up 30,000 square feet, which is essentially the size of like a Kohl's. And I thought this is really weird to me because one of the things about Amazon that I like is I don't have to leave my house to get the stuff and it'll get there really quickly.
Bro, I've been, what's the word I'm looking for? I've been transformed. Like I have no desire to go to the mall anymore.
Yeah.
I've been to the mall maybe twice in the last year and a half or so. Obviously COVID affected some of that, but I just have no desire to go because I'm like you. And used to be like, well, I ordered something from Amazon. Damn, it takes 2 or 3 days to get here. Now that has no impact or no effect on me. I just order it and I go, okay, it'll be here in a couple of days. I'm all good. I don't need it this second, so I'm good. So I have no desire to go to a big, large retail spot. Dude, I pretty much order everything off online now.
Yeah, I do too.
To go anywhere.
And it's interesting because I was reading something the other day because obviously, as you know, I read constantly. Like I finish one book and immediately get another book, but I do it all digital. Like all the books that I have purchased are through the Kindle store on Amazon, where I can read them on my iPad. Right. And I was reading something the other day about the fall of the local bookstores and how people like me are putting them out of business. And a part of it, I felt bad because I do believe in supporting local. I want people to be able to pursue, and I want to support local things like that. But it's also like that. I don't want a bunch of books taking up space. And I'm reading, my goal this year was to read 26 books, was to read one every 2 weeks on average. Right. And I don't want 26 books taking up space. Well, okay, well then take them to half price books and turn them in. I suppose I could do that, but again, for whatever reason, and I thought about this, and it is unfortunate to some degree, but it's also the evolution of life, right? And to me, I wonder if this was the argument, and this is going to sound facetious, but I'm actually serious. I wonder if this was the argument in the early 1900s or late 1800s when automobiles started coming around and people who made covered wagons started going out of business. And everybody was sitting there going, oh, well, I don't know about this thing. It's a weird vehicle. Yeah, it might get you there faster, but, the guy right around the corner makes this covered wagon that's really good.
I could see some of that, man. But, when it's all said and done, the vast majority of people, sooner or later, we go about convenience, man.
We do, yes.
It's about what makes life easier and more convenient for you. And, okay, this covered wagon is great, but it takes me a half a day to get from here to there when I can hop in this other thing and be there in an hour. It just, over the course of time, hey, man, have you been in one of those automobile thingies? Dude, you got to check it out, bro. Really? I don't know, man. I'm down with the horsies. Bro, my friend's got one. Come check it out with me. You hop in there one day, baby, we got to get us one of them things. Let's go. I mean, it's just the way it is, man. And so that's how life is, man. Technology, from the time the Wright brothers said, hey, it's better to fly than get on a train. It's just the way it rolls, bro.
It is. And there are things that you look at and it's just the way that life kind of evolves and things happen. And I do think it's unfortunate. It was unfortunate when Walmart first came around and the mom and pop stores couldn't compete. But the reality of it is, like you said, it's convenience and it's price. I mean, for the vast majority of it, and I know a lot of people, like my mom especially, my parents, they still get the paper, but my mom likes having a book. Like she likes reading it out of a book. And I was that way for a long time. And then it got to literally because I read so much and I had all these books everywhere. I was like, man, I'm just tired of having all these books around. And I can literally just get on my iPad, order a book online that is usually about $5 to $10 cheaper than the physical book because there's no paper. They don't have to print anything. It's just on digital. And I can get that. And as soon as I finish one book, I don't have to go to the bookstore and peruse. I can go online, peruse, order what I want, and it's immediately available for me to read right then.
Well, see, when you say that, dude, it makes perfect sense because, and some of y'all will appreciate this. I'm reading literally, I'm listening because I prefer audiobooks right now. I'm listening to 3 books at one time right now. One of them is the Bosch book. One of them is a kind of a self-help book about self-identity by Stedman Graham. And then the other one is the book that Kent Babb wrote about the inner city football team in New Orleans. And so I'm reading them all kind of 3 at one time, and I got different times that I read them. And you're right. I don't want to be lugging around 400-page books.
Yeah, it's different. And I think what is happening, and Beer Geek Shop is actually a wonderful example of this because it's similar, right? Because Beer Geeks has to compete with some of the big time retailers. So what Deidre does a very good job of is getting beers in her shop that the big time retailers aren't going to carry. And so it becomes a specialized thing. And we see this with bookstores too. There are bookstores that will carry rarer books or harder to find books, or, they'll offer things like, well, we're going to have the author come and sign, or we're going to have the author come and speak. And we do different things, or we offer book clubs that it's not just, hey, come in here and we've got all these paperback books, but there's something special to it on a local level that if you come to our bookstore, you can't get anywhere else. Like you can't get this experience online. And that is what I think some of these more specialized bookstores start moving towards, because then they're offering you something that is not just book. It's the experience that goes along with the book that nobody like Amazon can ever offer.
Yeah, I think that's, there's a place in Bishop Arts, I think it's called Raw Detectives or Wild Detectives.
Yeah, Wild Detectives, yeah.
It's a converted house, and that's what they do. It's a bookstore, but they've got a bar in there, they've got a patio out back, and, they're giving you a different experience for the book reading experience. Whether you bought a book there, whether you're bringing a book in to just hang out in a different atmosphere. And, man, for me, that's really what the whole business thing is all about. When we talk about doing a podcast, we go, okay, what's our niche going to be? There's 1,000 podcasts out there. Okay, we're going to do sports and beer because ain't nobody doing that, or we can do cowboys and beer, so to speak, because we know cowboys and we know beer better than most people. That'll be our niche, and then we'll build everything around it. Because you have to have something that identifies you and sets you apart from everybody else. Otherwise, you get lost in the noise.
Yeah, you're right. And again, we can transition into talking about Beer Geeks because I was serious. I mean, that's one thing that I really enjoy about Beer Geek Shop is, okay, how do I compete with bigger stores? Well, one thing that you can do is offer everything in singles, which I absolutely love. You don't have to commit to an entire 6-pack or a 12-pack. You may not understand what this beer is, and you can go in there and get it, and you can just get a single bottle or can, which is fantastic. Another is you've got over 400 beers from across the world available to you when you walk into Beer Geek Shop. And then you also have a level of customer service. And so when you have those three things combined, you go, okay, that's what local means to me. This is a specialized shop that is offering phenomenal beers, everything available in singles, and I can go in and have a conversation with the person that owns it that knows their stuff and can talk to me about beer, about what's going on, and we can actually enjoy talking to each other for 10 or 15 minutes, which creates a beer buying experience that blows away anything that you get anywhere else, which is what makes Beer Geek Shop so awesome.
Dude, you said a mouthful right there.
It's true, though. That's what it's about.
No, and it's also about, for them with newbies, like I used to be before I became the veteran beer drinker that I am now, explaining to them what kind of taste will fit their palate, what they might like based on the things that they like to drink now, or the scents that they like, or the smells that they like. That's a skill, man. Everybody can't do that, but Deidre has mastered it, and she's fantastic in terms of pointing you toward selections that she thinks you might like, and more times than not, she's right on.
It's fantastic. And, of course, they offer the Jam Session 6-pack, which, again, when you talk about local and how you can specialize things, this is a special deal. It's only for Jam Session podcast listeners. You have to know to ask for it. Like, you go in there and say, hey, I'd like the Jam Session 6-pack, and they know. They listen. They get it, and they'll put it together for you. It's 3 beers that I picked. It's 3 that Jacques picked out. You put them together. You get 6 craft beers for $18 in the Jam Session 6-pack. The one right now is available for the month of August. So get in there in the month of August and ask for the Jam Session 6-pack. It's 6 for $18. It's a crazy good deal. And it goes back to what we're talking about the care and consideration that a local craft beer store like Beer Geek Shop puts into what they're about, which is why we love them. And they've been a great partner of ours for years, actually. For, I think, coming up on 3 years now that we've been working with these guys. So get out and support them. They're fantastic people. It's in downtown Rockwall, right off the square. It's Beer Geeks Shop. Another one, of course, and again, this is another local family-owned business. It's HFX Foundation Solutions. And, there are certain times where you may sit there and you go, well, I don't think I have any foundation problems. That's cool. You may not. Or, I don't know if you guys saw this. We have slaughtered the average rainfall in DFW for the month of August. We're like 3 inches more of rain in August this year than we normally get, which for the most part has helped to keep temperatures lower than normal. But we've also had those scorching hot days where it's been well over 100. The extreme changes in weather like that, combined with the amount of moisture we've had, can play all kinds of havoc with your foundation this time of year. So if you start noticing like cracks or windows sticking or doors sticking, that's when I would immediately just give them a call. I would call HFX Foundation Solutions and let them know what you're seeing, because it's a free inspection. And there's no reason not to have them come out and check to make sure if you're okay or not.
Dude, that's the best part about it. Doesn't cost you anything to pick up the phone, give them a call, and say, hey, Aaron, come check us out. Because if they check you out and there's no problem, hip, hip, hooray, pop some bottles. And if there is a problem, hip, hip. I don't want to pop bottles so you know how much it costs. But you've caught it early,
right?
And it doesn't cost nearly as much to fix whatever the problem is if you catch it late and it's way down the line. That's why we often call it a colonoscopy for your house, because it's preventative maintenance that you need to do.
It's local. It's family owned. They're going to take great care of you. A-rated with the Better Business Bureau. online, their website, hfxfoundation.com. So you can check them out there or give them a call at the office, 817-770-0174. It is HFX Foundation Solutions. Have them come out, make sure everything's okay, because again, I mean, the weather's been really wonky this August, and that it just does not, it's not good for Texas soil and Texas foundations, as many of us know. It is time, as we do every week, to check in with longtime Cowboys beat writer from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, brought to you by Soda Weight Loss. He joins us now. It is Clarence Hill Jr. And Chill, Jacques and I were talking about this a little bit earlier on with this third preseason game coming up. Who are you looking forward to watching on Saturday night against the Texans? Who do you have your eye on for the Cowboys?
You know, I guess I can't have my eye on Dak Prescott, which I would love to have my eye on, and maybe not Zach Martin, La'el Collins. I mean, the offensive line and trying to see this first team offense on the field for the first time since before last season, considering the injuries to La'el and Tyron and then Dak and Zach and those guys not being together. I was looking forward to that for the third preseason game. That's what I was looking forward to. So I got to put all that aside. I'm sure we'll get back to all of that. So now I have to make myself look for something else. And
damn, dog.
Let's be honest. I mean, I'm not looking for the third tight end. Okay, I'm not looking for, with all due respect, I'm not looking for the underdog story. You know, I guess I want to see, again, in no certain terms, and I think we've seen enough, and I've seen enough. Keen O'Neal and Michael Parsons will be the starting middle linebackers on the team. Keen O'Neal and Michael Parsons. It's distinct and startling to hear at practice for them to say second team up and watch Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch run out there with second team.
That is, I mean, just hearing that is wild. Hearing that is just odd.
Seeing it is odd, and you know, it's funny because the Cowboys have this. I don't know. They got to have something with Jim Foster to do, and he has to announce every freaking thing. It's like this mojo moment that's silly, and so he's out announcing. And they second team up, and here comes Jalen and Leighton for the most part. And I understand that Neal and Parsons are the starting nickel linebackers. One reason why they started last week against Arizona, and that's been the case all week in practice. And you saw, you know, they from Micah's, you know, he's going to be on the field, and Neal is just better suited to do what they want to do. He's a former safety who can run and hit cover and do some of those things, and more suited to that than Leighton Vander Esch and Michael Parsons. And understand that this is a nickel league. The Cowboys played the nickel on defense 71% of the snaps last year. 71% of the time they were in nickel. You know, offensively, they run the three receiver sets, and these other teams in the nickel most of the time with two linebackers and five. That's what you do. The nickel defense is the new base defense. So when you talk about the nickel, that's who your starters are. That's your starting defense. And so you're going to see, certainly there are going to be roles for Micah and for Leighton and Jalen, and this whole notion that Jalen shouldn't be on the team, that's stupid. You know, because you finally have strength and depth in linebacker for a long time. Keep what's strong. Don't say, well, we only want to. His money's already guaranteed, so keep him out there. You can use him, and he will be used on short yard, and he will use on goal line, and they will use on different packages because you're going to use Micah in different areas. You know, Micah will use to be an edge rusher and all this other stuff, and so there will be times when you will have those guys out there. But again, in no uncertain terms, understand that when they go out in the nickel, it's going to be Neal and it's going to be Parsons, and that's your starting linebacker. That
makes sense. I mean, do you think – I asked Archie this the other day. So you think Jalen is over-criticized or criticized properly? Or shouldn't be criticized at all? I give you a third one.
I mean, because he's not as good as Micah Micah's going to start. Micah's he is the new centerpiece of this defense, and they want him to play in the middle. Should Jalen be criticized because Michael is they recruited over him, so to speak? They drafted over him? No. He is what he is. Jalen, we know what Jalen is right now.
What is he?
And to a certain extent, we know what Leighton is. And certainly, Jalen is not a run sideline guy, you know. And certainly, you know, he's a liability in pass coverage and all the other stuff. So you're going to put the better guys out there. But again, here's a guy who led the team in tackles the past 2 years. And I always tell you this, you know, when you talk about basketball and everybody saying, well, he's the leading scorer of the team. Somebody got to lead a bad team in scoring.
Right.
Every bad team got a leading scorer, okay? And every bad defense got a leading tackler. That don't make that guy good. That just makes him a leading tackler on a bad defense. So, and again, Leighton led the team was one of the top tackles in 2018. And so they will have roles for them, but it's not – I don't think reducing them, diminishing their roles isn't necessarily – an indictment of them. They're trying to get better. This defense is trying to get better. And, you know, one thing I wrote today is that there are no more pet cows. Be happy for that. There's no pet cows on this team. There's no pet cows on the defense. The best guys are going to play. They're trying to revamp this defense and improve this defense. And it's not about his contract, his draft position, or whatever else, or Jerry likes him and he committed to him. It's about putting the best guys on the field that's going to help them win and revamp this defense and improve this defense under Dan Quinn. They will have roles and different things for different guys, and they won't, you know, they will be used, and they should be used. This is not a situation where he's not starting, he's not this, we got to get rid of him. No, why? Neal is coming off an injury. Parsons is a rookie. You know, Leighton Vander Esch got, you know, has had injury issues. Why do you need to move somebody out? That's Jerry's money. People, well, his salary. No, it's already guaranteed. You can worry about that stuff at the end of the season. Huh? I
said, well, whether you play him or not, his money is already accounted for.
And you might need him. So, I mean, those are things that you shouldn't be worrying about. Just you know, keep what's strong. And for the first time, you know, it's funny saying that about something on the Cowboys defense has been bad for so long, but you have a chance you're deeper and stronger at linebacker, not because, you know, you're just playing guys, but because you upgrade the talent and athleticism. Keep what's strong. So let's not worry about that, but be happy that you've got better options to play with, and that's what gives you hope that the defense can be better because you have better options to play with.
What's been your impression of Dan Quinn?
You know, clearly Dan Quinn is the most impressive coach on the team, you know, and more impressive than the head coach. And you know, he just has the look, has the demeanor. He clearly knows how to relate to his players. And, you know, we've talked about it. You know, here's a guy that wears Jordan. You know, has a great shoe game. You know, here's a guy. I mean, he got a great shoe game. You want to relate to the kids? He got a great shoe game. He likes hip hop music. You know, he teaches them how to take notes using hip hop music. Okay, you know, he tells you goodbye saying peace. I mean, Dad, you ain't get invited to the picnic. Let's be honest. He can come to the picnic. Okay, Doc. You know, he can get invited to the picnic. You know, so you like that. You know, but again, and I would say this. Dan Quinn, Mike Newton, Wade Phillips, you know, it's not about the X and O's, it's about the Jimmys and Joes, okay? You still need players. You still need playmakers. You know, you can put them in position all you want to, but if you don't have playmakers, it don't matter. You know, and losing Neville Gallimore hurt. You know, they thought they were deep and on the line, and, you know, Tristan Hill is still out. You know, now you may have to play a rookie, you know, at the under tackle, and I will tell you that as well as this 4-3 is, and you know, you go back to the Warrens out there. Anybody around the 4-3 Tampa 2, all of the stuff, you know, you got to have a inside pass rush and tackle for the defense to work.
Yes, sir.
You know, Tampa was good because they had Warren Sapp. Okay, you got to have an inside pass rush and tackle, and the Cowboys don't have that and haven't had that in a long time. You know, how do you find that? Do you move DeMarcus Lawrence inside coming off back surgery? You know, and rush Micah and Randy from the outside? You know, or your boy Dorrance Armstrong, who's having a great camp, is coming on. But I mean, you're going to do some things to mix and match that, but you need a real inside pass rush and tackle. And they thought that that's something that your boy had opportunity to do. And now he's stepped back, and maybe Tristan Hill can come and be that. You know, once he comes back from the torn ACL, but he's having a slow return, and Just saying. He's one of their options. Why you laughing at my cousin's sister, man?
He a 3 a.m. option, dog. After the club is closed and after your car won't start because the battery dead.
Jeez.
But again, but just to the point though, you love Quinn, but you need playmakers, and that's one thing that Neil has shown. It's one thing. Parts of their playmakers, they get the ball out. You know, Malik Hooker. You know, they're going to find. You do like their options. You know, just like and I guess another player. I want to see Malik Hooker. You know, he had an interception in practice today. Of course, it was against Danucci, and everybody has an interception in practice today. You know, but you finally got some playmakers, the guys with history of making plays, history of making them. Not, you know, you can put a guy in position to make plays, but one reason why guys are in the secondary and in receive because they can't catch. You know, you got guys that can catch the ball back there now, guys that make plays, that are around the ball. You know, whether it's Crazy Casey, DeMonte Casey, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, you know, Trevon Diggs, guys that have a history of catching the ball, former offensive players who can catch the ball and turn the ball over. That's what you have on this defense. That's those options you have now that you feel good that they can be better than they have been in the past. They have to do it. You know, again, we talked about it in the past, whether it was when we talked about spades. You know, it's a bunch of possibles, but they ain't no guaranteed books here.
Right.
Guaranteed books. You got some possibles, so you're hoping those possibles can turn into some books.
Apparently so.
Which leads to this question, man. Is DeMarcus Lawrence going to be the big joker this year, or he going to be the queen of spades?
Man, we haven't yet to see him on the practice field. You know, right. and you need him to be the big joker. He's the one with the most money, with the most proven ability. You know, he has it on his resume. He has it in the back. The Cowboys need to get back to being DeMarcus Lawrence, but again, he hasn't practiced all week. Looks like he won't play in this game, so you won't see him until week 1. You know, and there was hopefully that he would play. You know, Amari Cooper will play, who's on PUP and been out, but he will play this week. I know he's going to play about 10 snaps, at least he told us the other day. But you know, we haven't seen it. You know, we haven't seen DeMarcus Lawrence practice, and you know, hopefully he can be that guy because he's the one with the most ability, you know, on that defensive line to do that sort of thing.
When you look at the offensive side, and you kind of mentioned this earlier, I mean, week 3, we're not going to see any of these guys that we were hoping to see, but what's your feel on Dak and him not playing at all in the preseason? What do you think about that as the first time we'll see him is going to be against that Tampa defense?
And that's the thing that I shudder about for the Cowboys. You know, the last time we saw the Tampa defense was in the Super Bowl, where they had your boy Patrick Mahomes running backwards.
Right.
You know, they destroyed that Kansas City offense and Patrick Mahomes and all those weapons and had them running backwards. And the first time you're going to see this Cowboys offense, you know, against Tampa is against Tampa in that defense. And that's not ideal. I know before training camp, you know, McCarthy and Jones and everybody was adamant, we want to get Dak preseason time. Yes, he looked good in the offseason, coming back from the injury. And yes, you know, we need to see him in the preseason because they wanted to get, you know, some continuity, familiarity with this offense to get them on the same page. And now we're talking about we don't need to see him in the preseason, you know, and you know we're changing our tune. You know, it's not a necessity. You got to do what you got to do. The injury has changed their outlook on seeing him in the preseason, and you got to do what you got to do. It's understandable. You know, it's a smart thing to do. But this is not ideal. This is not how you want to open a season. And it's not just Dak. You know, again, this offense has not played together. This offensive line, everybody, all these pieces, they're veteran pieces. And everybody said, we're better. We know what to do. We've played together before. But they have not played together, you know, if you put the offensive line together, you know, since 2019. Leal and Tyron didn't play. Leal didn't play at all last year. You know, Tyron only played 2 games. He wasn't himself. Dak was out in week 5. You know, Zach Martin, you know, what was gone at the end of the season. You know,